Coming up next, I'm going to pick my 5 favorite Italian niche fragrances. New concept here. I'm going to start and I'm going to go around the world. I'm going to pick different countries and tell you my 5 favorite fragrances from each of those countries. I'm starting with Italy because Italy happens to be my favorite niche fragrance capital. Even ahead of France, England, Spain, I love Italian niche fragrances. I love the design, I love the culture, I love the artistry behind them, and of course I love the fragrances. So I'm going to give you my 5 favorite ones coming up next. Welcome back here to JoelTheNose, as you can see at Osme Perfumery. And today I'm going to be filming a new video, kind of a cool concept, my 5 favorite Italian niche fragrances. So what I've done is I've picked 5 different Italian niche houses because I want to keep it mixed up. Some of these I could have easily had 2 or maybe even 3 of in this list. Maybe eventually I'll do a top 10 because then I can have a little bit more. But I just wanted to pick 5 niche houses and 1 fragrance from each house that I just adore. And if you've watched my videos before, you see I talk a lot about Italian niche houses. I just love the bottles, the design, the artistry, the story, and of course the juice behind and in these bottles is just magnificent. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Coming in number 5, I am actually going to go with one. It's a little bit of an outlier, and this is Ithaca from the Italian house, of course, Mendittorosa. Love their bottles, love them. I own actually some of their stuff. Always enjoyed it. It's a little bit more avant-garde. It's a little bit out there, so you got to be willing to take a risk with Mendittorosa. This is not your standard stuff. This fragrance, Ithaca, really love. It's a this is like a boozy cedar fragrance. So if you like that kind of boozy, just like almost like kind of like a rum or a scotch. It's got this incense, it's got cedar, and it's just, again, very kind of boozy, effervescent in that way, and that cedar mixes so well. One of my favorite fragrances in this store, and actually my favorite one from this house, Mendittorosa. So that's number 5. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 is from the house of Casamorati. Technically, this is Xerjoff, right? A lot of you know that. You know that this house is actually owned by Xerjoff, but since they do their own bottles, their own label, their own brand, even though it's under the Xerjoff name, I'm going to keep this as a separate one. But, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is Mefisto Gentiluomo. This one is, for those of you who like freshies, and this is going to be, it's funny, this has really come under my radar in the last few months, and it's maybe one of the best freshies that are out there. It's actually a pretty new fragrance. It came out in the last couple of years, but this is a fresh, shower, clean fragrance. It's got grapefruit, it's got lavender, it's got rose in it. It mixes so well like anything Xerjoff or Casamorati does. Love their bottles, of course. Their bottles are so unique. Just almost reminds me of Italian royalty, but wears all day, great projection and longevity. And if you love that freshy, out of the shower, clean scent, you really have to try Gintalomo. This is an under the radar gem and one of my top 5 Italian niche fragrances. Coming in now, number 3. And to me, this is the classic from this house. This is Gas Antisocial. Obviously interesting name, right? Gas is antisocial, I would say. And this is from Peccato Originale. For those of you watching my videos recently, you've seen that I talk a lot about this house. It's really one of my favorite niche fragrance houses among everything. And of course, among the Italian ones, they just do it right. Silvia Monti, who's the founder of the house, creative director. She's also the perfumer. She is a pharmacist by trade, just mixes up amazing alchemy in her creations. Just a real science and art behind what she does. But this one really kind of came out a few years ago, and I think this is what put them on the map, Gas Antisocial. This is a fragrance that is, how do I describe it? It's jasmine, it's got saffron, it's got oud, it's got leather. I mean, so just an amazing mix. Ooh, could have easily been #1 for me. One of my favorite fragrances. I love wearing this. It just gives you energy. It gives me a boost. It makes you feel confident. You know how fragrances can do that? This is one of those type of fragrances. Just love this. Gas Antisocial. Check it out. Coming in #2 on my Italian favorite list is Luci Ed Ombre from Masque Milano. Again, you hear me talk about Masque Milano. I just love these guys. Love everything about their house. This fragrance, again, under the radar. There's Mandala, there's Kintsugi, there's Times Square, there's Hemingway. They have a ton of great fragrance. And then all their new ones, of course. You know, like Petra or Lost Alice, which just came out, you see me talk about. This one I love. I have this in my collection. It is, let me just kind of so you can see that bottle there. I love this design. This has got incense right at the top, and I love incense fragrances, but it's mixed in with ginger, and it's also got cedar at the base, which cedar is probably my favorite base note, along with amber, but cedar I just love because it does so well on my skin. So this is a fragrance, I actually wear this a lot before I go to bed. This is a fragrance that is soothing. It just lifts my spirits. It makes me feel good. So if I'm having a bad day, I spray that on. It like immediately lifts me up. It's like stepping into a cloud. And when I want to go to sleep, this is soothing again. It relaxes me. It just makes me feel like complete and whole. So one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, and definitely one of the best Italian niche fragrances, my #2 overall selection. Coming in #1, I've talked about this a lot before, and this is Uden from the Shooting Stars collection of Xerjoff. I already mentioned Casamorati and Gintalomo. This is under the technical and the actual Xerjoff name. You can see it there. This is a citrus grapefruit beast mode fragrance. I guess technically it's a freshie, but to me this is more like, it's got lavender. This is like when you take a freshie times 10. This is so much more rich and deep than what you would consider a general freshie fragrance. This was like a next level. This is one of the first niche fragrances I ever owned that I got here at Osme years ago, and it's still one of my most complimented. When I wear this when I know, for example, this is a first date fragrance. This is a big business meeting fragrance. This is something where you want to make an impression, but you don't want to it's not going to turn anybody off because it's got that freshy element, but it's so distinct and unique, and it's so Xerjoff, and it's so artistic that it's going to be one that just sets you apart. It's also one that literally, it's one of my biggest beast mode fragrances. It projects for hours. I get 4 or 5 hours of good projection, like well off my skin, and it lasts all day, 12 plus hours on my skin. So this is something that when I know I need to make an impression, Uden is one of the bottles I always reach for. So there you have it, my top 5 Italian niche fragrances from 5 different houses, or you could say maybe 4.5 different houses. And I'll move on, I'll do some other countries next. Maybe I'll do France next, maybe I'll do Spain, maybe England, maybe the US, who knows. I'll figure it out as I go. This is JoelTheNose. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the support. You can, of course, like the video and ring the bell for notifications, and I will talk to you guys soon.